So let's have a look at a scalable sales process, like the actual the framework of how to do a scalable sales process. So we'll delete some of this. So scalable sales process. And basically, what is a sales process? So again, depending on your particular business, a sales process is simply what happens when a new customer comes into your sphere, whether they're months out of making a decision or they want it now. Like, what's the actual sales process? What happens when someone is interested potentially in your services, but they're 6 months out? What does the 6 months look like? What does month 6 look like? What does month 5 look like? What does month 4 look like? What does it look like? So here's some examples. Say an example sales process would be, say we run an advertisement for leads, and then maybe step 1 is you call them. Maybe that's the first step in your sales process. Maybe you're advertising, and once you get the actual lead, and this still isn't spelled. It's better. So maybe that's the first step, is you're actually calling them to find out more information. And this could be, say, immediately. So as soon as a lead comes in, you have to have a system in place that notifies you like that, or notifies your salesperson, your customer service person, to immediately call the customer. Because, and I'm sure if you're doing sales calls every day, you'll find this true. Like, I'm on the phone doing sales calls for other companies as well, so I'm actually in the trenches doing this, calling up companies and calling up people who've inquired with companies, and then finding out, okay, what do you need? You've just made this inquiry online. Tell me, what would you like to accomplish today? What would you like to accomplish with your new project? So that's kind of like the call. Asking them, what would you like to accomplish? So the immediate call, so like, this could be the first call. And the call would be, hey, this is like the example of the call. It would be, ring, 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 ring. Hey, Jim, you may not recall, earlier today you were on Facebook and you were having a look at this garage that we had, this large garage, maybe looking at a new garage. Oh yeah, that's right, I was looking at a garage. Well, Jim, great. Well, Jim, I'd like to help you actually with some more information on that. So tell me, Jim, what would you like to accomplish with this new garage? And then you shut up, listen to the customer, and write down what they actually want, figure out what they need, and work out if you need to quote them or whatever. The key, really, I think this is just basics in any phone call, is let the person speak. Too often, and this happens a lot, you call up a company and you're trying to tell them what you want, and the salesperson just keeps interrupting. No one likes that. So having a simple opening and allowing the customer to speak more will do more for your business. Just an approach like that, let the customer speak. It's a game changer. It's so simple, and so many companies completely ignore it, and they hire salespeople that just talk, never let the customer, actually say stuff. And hopefully that's not you, and that you have a great tone on the phone, and that you're really nice, and that you listen to the customer and make them feel valued. Hopefully that's you. And if not, this is definitely something to work on. So maybe step 1 in the sales process is have an immediate call. And of course, if you're not doing the sales, you need to be teaching people to do this, to, be great on the phone and be able to represent your business in a professional, helpful manner. That when customers leave reviews for you, they're 5 stars. That's what you want. So maybe the first step is an immediate call. Then what happens? Do they answer? Yes or no? If they answer, you can figure out what they need. If you need to quote them, do that. If they don't answer, maybe you call them back. Maybe you call back in 1 hour. Maybe it was a bad time. If they don't answer, you call back in an hour. And you need to have a system in place that actually makes it so that you or a salesperson remembers to do this. So it has to be organized. And in some other videos, I'm actually going to show you a way to actually set all of this up for your business as well. So it's organized and that all of this can actually be implemented, because all of this is great to talk about. And the theory, oh yeah, it makes sense. But to implement it, that's where the rubber hits the road, right? You need to be able to implement it, and being able to actually do it in a really easy way is key. So maybe this is the process. Do a call. If they don't answer, call back in an hour. And if they still don't answer, maybe you send an SMS. It might be something like, "Hey Jim, I noticed that you left your details on our website. You're interested in getting a pest control quote. Would you like me to provide you some more information on that? Or do you have an infestation of rats?" You can often ask them, especially if you don't know exactly what they want. This is a great tip. I do this all the time to people on the phone, and it works every single time. If you don't know what they want exactly, like say one of the places that I do consulting, they sell these big like barns and that, like for horses, so like a barn, and they sell other things like sheds and things like that. And sometimes I'm not sure what the customer actually wants, so I'm like, "Oh, so I see that you're interested in this large barn," and they're like, "No, I'm not interested in the barn. I'm interested in this." If you say something and just assume it, the customer will always correct you. And now you're in a conversation, and it doesn't make you look stupid. It gets them talking, it gets them involved, and it's going to be a much better conversation than saying, "I'm not really sure what you're interested in." Just assume something and get them to correct you on it. Or say, "I saw you were interested in the retaining wall," or something like that. And they're like, "No, I wasn't interested in the retaining wall. I was actually interested in this." So if you don't know, sound confident and just say what you think they were interested in, and if they're not, they will correct you. And that's the best way to start a conversation. In my experience with this, it's a foolproof technique. So it's getting a little bit off track. It's so exciting, all of this stuff, just to be able to go through, because all of this is going to have a big impact for your business. Putting all of this together can change your business. So maybe it could be an immediate call when a new lead comes through. If they answer, get their information, do what needs to be done. And this also begs to say, if they do answer, what happens? So yes, so maybe you send them a quote, and then you need to have a process of what happens. Do you follow up? So maybe the day after you call, you call to check what they thought about the quote. And then you need to have the same procedure in place. If they answer, find out where they are in relation to the quote. Are they going ahead? Do they need more information? Are they just stalling? Figure out what their objections are. All of this kind of stuff. If they don't answer, again, do you call back within an hour? Do you call back the next day? Because guess what? If you're spending money on advertising and getting people to put in their information with you, and then your sales process it's not really existent, or it isn't organized in a manner like this, that it's like, well, I'll call them back when I do, or when the leads come, I'll call them tomorrow. If there's something wishy-washy like this, that it's not actual set in stone, it's just like, oh, we'll do this, it's not going to be done. It's never going to be done, and it's never going to be done to a high standard, and it's never going to be done to a standard that can scale and that can be taught to other people. It needs to be, leading from the top. If you're actually doing this, you're in sales and you're implementing this process, you need to be sure that everyone's doing it right, that everything's being checked off, that people are held accountable for making sure that the process is followed as intended. And that's really the key to this, is being able to implement it and have it consistent. So I guess you understand there needs to be a procedure in place. So then say someone, we'll do a different scenario. We do the immediate call and ask, so what would you like to accomplish with your new project? And the customer says, we're not really looking right now, actually looking to buy a new house, and once we buy the house, then we're looking to get this renovation put in. And then you can, okay, and how long do you think this would be? And they say, it's probably going to be around 6 months. We're still looking in this area. Then you can make a note and maybe contact them in 3 months or 4 months. See where they're at. That's really the key. So anyone who says that they will be ready, set a reminder. Even call them in a month just to check in, just to see. And the key really to following up with people that are like far out, maybe they're like, sometime later this year, and it's well in the future, or maybe next year. How do you keep in contact with them that it doesn't just sound like, are you ready to buy? Are you ready to buy? Are you ready to buy? Are you ready yet? You ready yet? The customer's going to stop returning your call. Enough calls like that, and they'll be like, no. And then you've lost the sale. So the key to this is that when you call up, provide them something useful, something that they actually find useful. They look forward to your call. And this could be something like, much like in one of the other videos that I was talking about, like following up with people, that providing value to them. The advertising video. In any advertising, do some educational content. The same thing, exactly the same thing can be with a follow-up call or a follow-up email. Maybe you email in a week or a month, and then something like that. Or maybe you SMS them a link to a video that you or your team or someone makes that actually shows them. Or it could just be a YouTube video that someone else made that's helpful. And you're like, hey, I noticed that, or I remember from our conversation a couple months ago that you were looking at moving in this area, and I just thought I'd send you this useful link to some great restaurants to check out. It can be stuff like that. It doesn't have to be all business related. It can just be friendly stuff, because people like nice people, like you would. You like friendly, decent, nice people, and you look forward to their calls. You look forward to their emails. Sure, you know that maybe they want to sell you something, but at least they're doing it in a really nice, valuable way that after each interaction with them, you feel better about yourself. That's the kind of sales process that you want to have, and this is the way that all the people on the fringes that are kind of interested, that's the way to actually close the deal. Keep in contact, give them useful information in the months leading up. You're going to win the deal. Other companies aren't going to be doing this. They're going to be remembering you, especially if the stuff you provide is good. It needs to be high quality follow-up. It's key. It needs to be high quality. It can't just be sales spiel. Hey, I'm calling to see if you're ready to buy yet. Give them some useful information. Say you're an electrician, and maybe you have a different business. You only do like a large commercial electrical work for some large companies, and maybe you find out that a particular company is looking to expand into a new area. You could then follow up with them and say, hey, I know that you're going to be expanding into this new area. Do you mind if we catch up maybe beforehand to talk about maybe some of your plans? No pressure, or something like that. Anything to get the conversation moving forward in a positive manner. There's so many different ways that this can be applied depending on your business. So this is kind of the way the sales process works. Something that's scalable. Something that you can work out a system that on day one you call. If they answer, you find out what happens, and then they either go into a monthly automatic thing where you call them up every month, or you email them every so often, or you provide them new videos and new articles and new information, or they're ready for a quote, and if they get a quote, then they go into this, and then they're followed up with the quote. Then you check on, do you have a system for everything? If they do this, this happens. If they do this, this happens. Everything's systematized so that it can be taught to people. That's basically the way to do it. So, and now, so this is designing the sales process.